Leg cramps are one of the most frustrating and painful conditions millions of people in the United States struggle with on a regular basis, especially during the night. These intense muscle contractions can hit suddenly, leaving people grabbing their calf, foot, or thigh in severe discomfort. Whether you're in your 30s or over 70, this issue doesn't discriminate and is often tied directly to vitamin deficiencies. Many people from the United States, United Kingdom, Canada, and Australia who visit emergency rooms or see their primary care physician report leg cramping that disrupts sleep, causes daytime pain, and interferes with physical activities. Yet very few are told how specific nutrients could stop it. If you've ever woken up with your calf muscle locked tight, or you've had to stop during a walk or workout because of a painful muscle cramp, you know how badly you need answers, and you deserve them. The first and most critical vitamin when it comes to stopping leg cramps is magnesium. This mineral plays a central role in relaxing muscle fibers. Every muscle contraction and relaxation depends on magnesium moving in and out of your muscle cells. In the United States, magnesium deficiency is a widespread issue, largely due to poor dietary habits and heavy consumption of processed foods that strip magnesium from the diet. Americans are often not getting enough leafy greens, seeds, nuts, and whole grains, the foods richest in this mineral. If you have low magnesium levels, your muscles are going to stay in a contracted state longer than they should. That is what causes the sudden spasm and pain. Older adults in Canada and Australia are often prescribed magnesium supplements when dealing with restless legs or nighttime cramping. Still, the type of magnesium matters. Magnesium citrate and magnesium glycinate are far better absorbed than the cheaper forms like magnesium oxide, which is often found in drugstore brands across the United States. People often report that within 1 to 2 weeks of taking a proper magnesium supplement, their nighttime leg cramps reduce or disappear entirely. Magnesium also affects your calcium and potassium channels, which means it indirectly helps other leg cramp-related nutrients work better too. Second on the list is potassium, an electrolyte most people know from bananas, yet hardly anyone consumes enough of it daily. Potassium keeps your nerves and muscles working properly. When levels drop too low, which often happens after heavy sweating, dehydration, or certain medications like diuretics commonly prescribed in the United States for high blood pressure, your muscles become irritable. They overreact to even the smallest nerve impulses, which leads to cramping. Americans in hot states like Texas, Florida, and Arizona are especially prone to potassium loss during the summer months. Some people believe drinking sports drinks will help, but those are often loaded with sugar and provide very small doses of actual potassium. Natural sources such as avocados, sweet potatoes, white beans, spinach, and even coconut water are far more effective. People with chronic kidney issues or those taking blood pressure medications like hydrochlorothiazide or furosemide need to be even more cautious, as these drugs deplete potassium at a dangerous rate. Ask yourself, do you feel muscle twitches, palpitations, or cramps after being out in the heat or working out? That could be your body begging for potassium. Third is calcium, and this one shocks people because it's often only associated with bones and not muscles. But calcium is deeply involved in the muscle contraction and relaxation cycle. In fact, too little calcium means your muscles can't contract properly, or worse, they contract and don't let go. That's cramping. A lot of adults in the United States are on dairy-free diets due to lactose intolerance, and while that may help digestion, it also puts them at risk of calcium deficiency. People from the United Kingdom and Canada who avoid dairy for ethical or health reasons often do not realize how difficult it is to get proper calcium from food alone, unless they were eating sardines, fortified plant milks, or dark leafy greens in large amounts daily. Postmenopausal women are especially at risk because estrogen plays a role in calcium retention. If you're over 50 and suddenly start waking up with leg cramps, your calcium levels need to be looked at seriously. Calcium citrate is often the recommended form, especially for those who also have low stomach acid or are taking acid blockers, which are frequently used in the United States to treat GERD or heartburn. Vitamin D is the fourth, and it plays a secret but powerful role in cramp prevention by helping the body absorb calcium properly. Without enough vitamin D, even if you take calcium supplements or eat enough calcium-rich foods, your body cannot put it to use. People living in northern regions of the United States or Canada, especially during the winter, can go months without meaningful sun exposure, which leads to vitamin D deficiency. Muscle pain, bone aches, and leg cramps are all classic signs. Low vitamin D has even been linked to a higher frequency of muscle weakness in older adults. That's why many physicians in the United States now run regular vitamin D blood tests on patients with muscle issues. Yet many still fall through the cracks. Vitamin D3 is the form you want, ideally taken with a fat-containing meal for better absorption. People often share stories of getting their vitamin D levels above 40 ng/ml and seeing their muscle tightness, cramps, and pain vanish within weeks. Fifth is vitamin B1, also known as thiamine, and it's incredibly underrated in discussions about muscle health. Thiamine is essential for nerve function, and your nerves are what send the signal to your muscles to contract and release. A deficiency in vitamin B1 means your nervous system is sending misfired or jumbled signals, which can lead to sudden cramps or muscle twitching. In the United States, alcohol use disorder is one of the most common causes of B1 deficiency, but it also happens in people with high carbohydrate diets and poor nutrient diversity. Processed carbs strip thiamine from the diet, and people living on boxed, microwaved, or fast food meals are usually running on empty. In Canada and the United Kingdom, thiamine is sometimes prescribed to diabetic patients, as blood sugar irregularities further deplete this vitamin. If you've been having tingling in your feet, sudden muscle spasms, or numbness, thiamine might be involved. Pork, sunflower seeds, and legumes are solid food sources, but many people need a supplement to restore levels properly. Vitamin B12 comes sixth and is crucial for anyone dealing with chronic muscle cramping combined with fatigue or tingling sensations. This vitamin helps form myelin, the protective sheath around nerves, and when it's missing, your nerve signals slow down or misfire entirely. That can lead to painful cramps, usually in the legs or feet. A huge number of people in the United States over the age of 60 are deficient in B12, especially those taking metformin or proton pump inhibitors, two of the most commonly prescribed drugs. Canadian and Australian doctors often screen for B12 in patients with unexplained neurological symptoms, but it still goes overlooked in the U.S. despite clear signs. People following a vegan or vegetarian diet in the United Kingdom are also at high risk. B12 is only found naturally in animal products like beef liver, fish, and eggs. If your cramps are happening alongside fatigue, memory issues, or numbness, B12 testing should be immediate. Methylcobalamin is the preferred form in most cases because it is the active version, meaning your body can use it right away without conversion. Next is vitamin E, the seventh on the list, known for its antioxidant properties but also crucial for nerve and muscle health. People who are vitamin E deficient often experience muscle weakness, twitching, or cramping. This is especially relevant for those who have malabsorption issues such as celiac disease, Crohn's, or pancreatic problems, all of which are more prevalent than ever in the United States. Vitamin E helps stabilize cell membranes and supports blood flow, both necessary for preventing cramping. There are even documented cases in Australia where children with severe vitamin E deficiencies developed muscle degeneration. Adults are no exception. If blood flow is compromised, like in people with vascular issues, diabetes, or sedentary lifestyles, cramps can become a daily problem. Tocotrienols, a form of vitamin E that is less commonly found in U.S. multivitamins, but far more powerful, may offer protection not just from cramps, but also from inflammation and nerve damage that worsens cramping over time. Vitamin B6 is number 8, and its role in synthesizing neurotransmitters like serotonin and dopamine connects directly to how your nerves and muscles communicate. Without enough B6, these communication lines break down, and you experience muscle tightness, spasms, and cramps. Many people in the United States take in too much B6 in synthetic form through cheap supplements, which ironically can cause nerve damage over time. But mild deficiencies are just as problematic. Women on birth control pills or hormone therapy, common across the United States and Canada, often have lower B6 levels. Nighttime leg cramps, especially when paired with mood swings or insomnia, may signal the need for better B6 intake. Chickpeas, tuna, and turkey are great sources, but again, food alone often isn't enough for those with absorption issues or hormonal imbalances. Ninth is sodium, not a vitamin but an electrolyte too important to ignore, especially for people dealing with cramping during physical activity. Sodium gets demonized in the United States because of its link to high blood pressure, yet athletes and laborers who sweat heavily can become dangerously sodium deficient. If you're working outside in Texas or doing construction in Florida or any other hot climate, you're losing salt at a massive rate. Losing too much sodium throws off the electrolyte balance and leads to nerve misfiring and muscle cramps. People often drink too much plain water without replenishing salts, which dilutes sodium levels further. Electrolyte solutions like those used in hospitals or sports rehydration mixes that include sodium, chloride, and potassium are essential. Canadian and Australian trainers often recommend salt tablets or specific electrolyte drinks to their athletes during endurance events to prevent muscle lockups. And finally, vitamin C closes out the first third of this list because of its crucial role in collagen synthesis and vascular health. Without enough vitamin C, your blood vessels weaken and oxygen delivery to muscles is impaired, leading to fatigue and cramping. People with poor diets, common across the United States, especially among those living in food deserts or on SNAP assistance, often have lower vitamin C intake. Smokers who already deplete their vitamin C rapidly are even more at risk. Cramping combined with slow wound healing, gum bleeding, or fatigue can all point to a vitamin C deficiency. Oranges are not the only answer. Bell peppers, strawberries, and broccoli actually provide more vitamin C per serving. Most people from the United States who suffer from leg cramps have no idea that their daily diet, prescription medications, and even lifestyle habits are constantly depleting the very nutrients that prevent those painful muscle spasms. It is not just about the big vitamins like magnesium or potassium, it is also about how these nutrients interact with each other, how they're absorbed, and what blocks them. The truth is, in the modern Western diet, even when people think they're eating healthy, they're still likely missing essential compounds. For someone waking up night after night with locked calves or cramping in the thighs that ruins sleep and steals energy the next day, the answer could be buried in their nutrient absorption, not just intake. Many people in the United States are prescribed medications that secretly rob the body of vitamins. Acid reducers like omeprazole and pantoprazole, which are sold under brand names like Prilosec or Nexium, reduce stomach acid, but stomach acid is essential to break down and absorb minerals like magnesium, calcium, and zinc. And without proper breakdown, your supplements are nearly useless. Another overlooked vitamin tied to leg cramps is vitamin K2, not to be confused with vitamin K1, which helps with blood clotting. K2 works with vitamin D and calcium to ensure that calcium gets deposited into your bones and teeth instead of your arteries or soft tissues, like your muscles. Without enough K2, calcium can begin to build up where it shouldn't, causing stiffness and contributing to chronic cramps. In the United States, vitamin K2 is almost completely absent from the standard diet. Fermented foods like natto, a staple in Japan, contain high amounts, but these are rarely eaten by Americans. People in Canada and Australia may get some K2 from grass-fed dairy, but even then, it's not enough to reverse a deficiency. There have been reports of people reducing their leg cramp frequency simply by adding vitamin K2 MK7 into their supplement routine, especially when they were already taking vitamin D and calcium. You have to look at the full picture. Too many people take calcium without balancing it with K2 and magnesium, which leads to cramping, not relief. The American obsession with high calcium intake for bone health may actually backfire when it's not supported with the other vitamins needed to direct calcium properly. Another hidden cause of leg cramps is poor circulation, and this is where certain vitamins like niacin, also known as vitamin B3, become essential. Niacin improves blood flow by dilating blood vessels and supporting endothelial function, which is critical for delivering oxygen and nutrients to muscles. When your legs aren't getting enough blood supply, whether from sedentary lifestyle, diabetes, or even smoking, your muscles suffer. That suffering often shows up as cramping. In the United States, millions of people are taking statins to lower cholesterol. But one of the most common side effects of statins is muscle cramping and weakness. Niacin, which also supports healthy lipid levels, can sometimes reduce the need for these drugs when used appropriately. But more importantly, it helps counteract the vasoconstriction and poor microcirculation that lead to pain in the legs. People who have tried flushing niacin, the form that causes skin flushing, often report a warming sensation and a noticeable reduction in muscle tightness over the following days or weeks. That's because the capillaries finally open up and your tissue gets the nutrients it's been deprived of for too long. A lack of niacin is a much bigger issue in the U.S. than most people realize, especially in older adults and those with high sugar consumption. Then comes zinc, another mineral that interacts with dozens of body systems, but it's rarely discussed in the context of leg cramps, even though it should be. Zinc is needed for enzyme function, muscle repair, nerve signaling, and even testosterone production. And low testosterone in men, especially older men in the United States, can lead to weaker muscle tone and more frequent muscle dysfunction, including cramps. Zinc also supports the immune system, and when you're chronically deficient, due to stress, poor diet, alcohol use, or gut absorption issues, your muscles can't heal or maintain themselves properly. Diabetics in the United States and Canada are often zinc deficient, and that's a major red flag. Diabetic neuropathy isn't just about numbness and tingling, it also involves spasms, twitching, and burning pain in the legs and feet. If that sounds like what you're dealing with, zinc might be a missing piece, but not all zinc is created equal. Zinc picolinate and zinc citrate are absorbed better than the common zinc oxide found in cheap supplements sold in grocery stores and pharmacies across America. If your cramps happen after a stressful week, illness, or poor sleep, those are all situations that burn through zinc faster. Omega-3 fatty acids are technically not vitamins, but they're absolutely critical for muscle and nerve function. And their deficiency often shows up as leg pain, stiffness, and nighttime cramping. These fatty acids reduce inflammation and improve the flexibility of cell membranes, which allows your muscle and nerve cells to respond more efficiently. In the United States, omega-3 intake is pathetically low in the average adult. Unless you're eating wild-caught fatty fish multiple times per week, or you're supplementing with a high-quality fish oil, you're likely deficient. People with diets high in processed seed oils, like soybean or corn oil, which are everywhere in the American food supply, have sky-high omega-6 to omega-3 ratios, and that's a recipe for inflammation. Chronic inflammation affects your vascular system, nerve conduction, and muscle repair mechanisms, all of which can contribute to cramping. Canadians and Australians who follow traditional diets that include more seafood often report fewer issues with leg pain and night cramps. Some patients in U.S. pain clinics have even reported major improvements in muscle cramping and nerve-related pain after starting high-dose omega-3s with EPA and DHA. You can IET repair muscles or reduce spasms if your body is inflamed and stiff at a cellular level. Another under-discussed factor in chronic leg cramping is dehydration, combined with a lack of trace minerals like selenium, chromium, and boron. These aren't the first nutrients you think of when you hear leg cramps, but they play background roles that are critical. Selenium supports the thyroid, and your thyroid hormones directly influence muscle metabolism. Hypothyroid patients often complain of cold limbs, tight calves, and spasms that feel like their legs are seizing.